Let's go. All right, excited to be chatting and demoing today. How are we all feeling? Really happy to be here. So I'm Simon Kubica, co-founder and CEO of Alloy, previously at Atlassian, and today we're going to be talking about vibe coding. And not just vibe coding as you know it from sort of the big buzzword last year, but specifically how it's being applied to product management in 2026 and beyond, because we've seen a giant inflection point that we're going to be walking through today and going through on the laptop and showing you, exactly how this is going to be taking shape in your companies, in your enterprises this year. I wanted to start with a sort of recent history of building so that we can conceptualize this massive transformation that we've all sort of been going on. And it starts in 2024 and sort of prior, the Stone Age. Hands up if you're a PM in 2024 or beforehand. Basically everyone, right? So back when I was at Atlassian, we'd get into these rooms and we'd put up some sticky notes on the wall and we'd try to plan out the next 3 to 6 months of what our product roadmap was going to look like. And you go into sort of planning hell. There's a 500-line spreadsheet, dependencies between teams and organizations. You can't visualize anything. There's PRDs being thrown around. And then you get to the end of the quarter and you've done maybe like just a little slice of what you had hoped to achieve. And then fast forward to 2025, we then had the advent of these amazing app builder tools. And they were very fun, very fast, and also for some reason, very purple. And they were kind of the dial-up era of vibe coding for product management. You could build your ideas, but wouldn't really look like your product or the interface that you're working with. So great for communicating an interaction or a high-level idea, but sort of falling short when it came to actually delivering faster. Actually still felt a lot like this 2024 world that we were used to. And just over the last month or two, we've sort of hit this fireworks moment in vibe coding for non-technical PMs and product leaders with the launch of Opus 4.6 in January. Can I get a show of hands if anyone's tried the latest Anthropic models? These things are crazy when it comes to application for product development, and we're going to be showing you in just a second why that is. Because for the first time, you're actually able to prototype on your real application, do it in the cloud, have these agents run asynchronously, get kicked off from Slack threads, from customer requests, and then oftentimes have it not just be a prototype that you're communicating in a meeting, but actually a completed change that you can put up as a pull request for your engineering teams to review. And so 2026, I think, is the big inflection point from dial-up to broadband when it comes to vibe coding for folks like us. And we're moving away from the app builders that were sort of nifty for testing out the chat patterns, but not really practical in an enterprise, and into the sort of tools that are empowering all of us as product leaders to sort of become full-blown builders on our team, accelerating velocity. Something really special about the last few months, how these models have evolved, is not just how much better they're getting at responding to our changes, but actually how long they can run for has gone completely vertical. And so just from December to February, 4.5 to 4.6, we're now seeing these tools run for up to 15 hours. And so something I like to do is just kick off some changes before I go to sleep, have it like run through our entire product, find opportunities to improve things, refactor. We've got our agents running on the back of customer requests that have come in overnight. And it's a completely vertical growth curve that is, I think, going to keep running up to 30, 40, 50 hours by the time I get back to Australia. It's a long flight. Just on Alloy, our own AI prototyping tool, we're seeing usage go vertical as well. And so there's this steep growth curve of adoption, but not just in our tool. In the enterprise as well, we've got Toby at Shopify, essentially operating as the CEO, but also the chief product visionary of the company. He just shared his "Are you going exponential?" thumbnail, which has been doing the rounds on Twitter lately, because every minute that you're spending not sort of running a product agent, whether you're an engineer or even the CEO of the company, sort of leaving a bunch of value on the table. And so I really can't stress enough, like, giant change just over the last few weeks and months, to the point that this talk has been sort of updating over the last few days because the models and the capabilities and the usage that we're seeing in product workflows is changing so quickly. So what does this look like in your company in 2026? Well, we're seeing a few things, and Brett just covered, even at Miro, the product managers and designers are now getting involved, and there's tools like Cursor at play, different environments that are being spun up. One of the things we're seeing at Ramp, which is an amazing case study, they're an incredibly well-run company, is that they're actually building their own, what they call, background agent. So you don't have to use Alloy. You can go ahead and build something like this internally if you're in your company, if you choose to. One of its key principles is that it allows everyone at Ramp to come in and make changes, whether it's prototyping an idea, updating copy on the website, adding a new feature to the application. It's in the cloud, it's available to everybody, it's running on the real app, the real code base, and they've gone from 0% of pull requests merged from this system to 70% just in the last 2 to 3 months. And so it's going to be at 99 and above over the next few weeks, I'm sure. One of the other questions I get asked a ton is, hey, is this just something that hot startups are doing, or is this applicable to everybody? At Alloy, since we've launched, we've had startups all the way through to Fortune 500 companies coming through and vibe coding inside of the cloud playground, because it's more about the role of the non-technical product leader, product manager, becoming a builder, rather than anything intrinsic to your company or your organization. So everyone here should be able to take advantage of this workflow change. I think Naval put it best a couple weeks ago. Vibe coding is the new product management, and it's the biggest workflow change we've seen in the history of PMing, and I think we're just at the very start of the exponential. 2026 is definitely the year of the AI cloud playground, where the way that we build and what we do as PMs changes forever. One of the things that I want to cover at a high level to give you folks a sense of what best-in-class performance looks like for these cloud playground systems, like what Ramp has built internally, what's available in systems like Alloy, is what does this really look like? And I think there's a few principles that I'll cover off at a high level that are really going to allow you to make the most of these amazing foundation models that are improving so fast. And the very first one is code-based context. I think moving away from the isolated systems that are more for spinning up new applications and actually running AI models on your product or your website's actual code base is what's going to allow you to click a button, put up an instant pull request for your change. It's what's going to allow you to utilize your design system. So sort of as Brett was saying, we used to maintain Figma as this separate system. We didn't have a single source of truth. That's all changed now. If you get your code-based context into your cloud playground, into your cloud agent platform, it's able to utilize all of the tools and all of the systems that your engineers have built over the last few years or decades and plug that in for any change that you want to make. One more thing that we're seeing agents do an incredible job at is actually connecting to and leveraging your SaaS systems just like a real human would. So one of the, I think, most common mistakes in enterprise deployments of vibe coding right now is essentially spinning up an agent and, like a human, putting them down at a desk and not giving them access to any of the IT's tools like Slack or Jira or Linear or Google Workspace. you wouldn't be able to do your job, and an agent is sort of stuck in the same predicament. And so utilizing your MCP connectors in the systems that your team or yourself are using for vibe coding is the way that you can actually have the agent go ahead and self-serve solutions to problems like checking the Snowflake database for insights into where people are dropping off in the onboarding funnel, or picking up the context from a Slack thread that details where an enterprise customer is really frustrated with a specific feature and building the solve for that. If you don't have that context available, it's like a human at a desk with a laptop and no access to your web applications. And so plugging that context in for vibe coding is, I think, absolutely key. And then finally, getting out of the localhost, local development environment of 2025. If anyone's used Claude Code or Cursor, these tools are incredibly powerful, but we've almost taken a step back in terms of collaboration with the rest of the organization, because no one can see the prototype that's on my machine. It's tricky to send over to a customer. We're having to sort of take workarounds like screenshots or videos that we share in Slack. And so Brian Lovin, who's a good friend of mine, just went on Clairvaux's podcast the other day, and he said that at Notion, the cloud playground is available to everyone with prototypes that the CEO is putting together or folks on the design team are tinkering with. And the amount of insight and human-to-human collaboration that's unlocked just through the visibility is completely transformative and sort of a compounding effect on the power of the models. So it's not just about sort of clicking the Opus 4.6 toggle. You want to make sure, whether it's a ramp-like internal system or a SaaS solution, that you're plugged into the rest of the company, to your SaaS tools and to your code base. And then you're sort of unlocking the really magic superpower-like performance for your product team and your product velocity. So let's go through 3 ways you can evolve your product utilizing some of these new superpowers. Number 1 is instantly exploring product ideas. And so this old way that we were sort of alluding to of writing a document, waiting for review, getting design resources, that's now just dropping in a prompt. The 2025 way of having everyone in your company get Codebase access and spin up a local development environment. If you set everything up with a cloud playground, again, it's just putting in a prompt. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at a quick demo. Great. So I'm going to pull up Linear, and I'm going to pretend that I'm maybe a product manager on the Linear team, which I know is ex-Atlassian sacrilege, but hopefully folks will forgive me. And what I'm going to do is, think through a product idea that I really want to go ahead and try out that previously would be weeks of sort of fighting for resources. And so I'm here inside of my issue list, and rather than sort of fighting for a designer or maybe taking a screenshot of my application, feeding it into an app builder and getting something back that doesn't quite look right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Alloy extension, and I'm going to capture this page. And what that's doing is it's downloading all of the context of what I was just looking at, it's putting it into my cloud playground, and it's letting me now permissionlessly start to explore my product ideas and changes that I want to make, everything down to the hover states, interactivity. I've now got my app into a cloud playground, and I can start to build and explore with the latest models. And so I've always wanted Linear to have a whiteboard view for these issues. And so let me come in and say, let's update this to be a whiteboard view instead of a list. I'll go ahead and submit my prompt, and then fast forward a minute or two, and I've got back my response from Alloy, and I've got my whiteboard in my product. And so this is ready now for me to play with and get a feel for. Unlike the previous design tools where everything was static, I can drag these cards around, can really imagine what it would be like to give my users a whiteboard in the product just in a couple of minutes. And if this doesn't feel right, I can come in and put subsequent prompts in and continue chopping and changing. Maybe I'd want to switch between a list or a whiteboard. Really, all the power's in your hands. But what's magical about this is that I can just go ahead and share this now in one click. It's available in my playground for everyone in the company to look at, much like a Notion workspace or a linear project. I can share it with a customer like a Loom link. And if I've connected my code base, I can actually put this up as a pull request in a system like GitHub so that engineers can review the code and potentially even get this out if you're operating in a really fast-paced environment. So going from multi-week process, having to set up and configure permissions, to actually just building my ideas in just a minute or two. So that's sort of takeaway number one, and let's jump back to some other cool stuff that we're seeing in vibe coding. Use case number two is visualizing your customers' feature requests. And so this is probably one of the funnest, most mind-blowing things you can do as a PM in 2026, is actually building features live with your customers as they're sort of making requests of your product. What I mean by that is, if all you 2024 folks think back to the old way, you'd get a feature request in your email inbox. You would sort of try to understand, but eventually you'd go, it's on the roadmap. The customer's in the dark. They've heard this response thousands of times before. Of course, you go into the planning meeting and maybe it's in the plan, but it doesn't get done. It's delayed to next quarter. You've made zero progress on this like golden nugget of insight that you've received from one of your users. The new way is completely different. And there's sort of two variants of this that I'm having a lot of fun with. The very first one is when I'm on a call with a customer, they're making a request of me, I'll just type it out into Alloy, my vibe coding system, while they're asking for it. And then when they're done explaining, I'll just share my screen and I'll go, is this the thing that you're looking for? And they'll be like, whoa, I can't believe how quickly you're able to turn this around. And the loyalty, customer admiration, customer love that you're able to generate just from showing that you're putting their ideas into practice, I think really can change the extent of your customer relationships. Version number two that's sort of very hot off the rank the last few weeks, when we have a customer feature request come in from any of our support systems, we actually just pass that through to our cloud playground straight away, and it takes a first pass. So if we get a feature request at 3 a.m., we're fast asleep. By sort of 3:05, 3:10, our models have gone ahead and had a crack at building the feature out. It's ready for us to preview. It's in the cloud playground for people to check out, and you'll wake up in the morning and you're not just seeing the customer feature request, but you're actually seeing the visualization of it in your product. And obviously this doesn't work for every customer ask. The agent's not going to run for everything, but like bug reports, feature requests, any sort of support tickets that relate to your code base, once you're plugged into your playground, you just go ahead and have these things running autonomously, asynchronously, and you're just hitting approve and able to move at an unbelievable velocity. And so let me show you one more example of what this could look like. So we'll do this one manually, just because we're live here driving for you. But let's say that I'm a customer of this system, and I'd really like to enrich these cards because I can see I have this pipeline with clients, but I don't really have a sense for who these clients are. It's sort of hard for me to grok this interface. And so let's just imagine that I put a support ticket in along the lines of, hey, it would be great if the cards in the pipeline view had more granularity. I'm looking for details on the customer, and a few more fields of metadata. And we get tickets like this all the time, as you would if you're working on any sort of SaaS application or system. And so support ticket comes in, you can just drop that into your cloud playground directly if you don't have an integration. But if you do, it's just running automatically just from being sent in by your customer. And then fast forward to the agent's design process, and now I've gotten back all my extra metadata. It's pulled the customer logo, more details about the contact, some metadata, and then as a human reviewing this, I can, as a part of getting back to that ticket, just like grab the link, decide to share it, ask them if it looks good, and merge the change in through GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, as long as my engineers are sort of happy with the code that has been put together. So going from a quarterly plan to a quarterly playground, I'd say is the last one. And this is super simple. If you're used to spreadsheets like this, you can just plug them in, turn your plans through Jira Product Discovery or Notion into interactive prototypes, and go from insight to action incredibly quickly. Just connect your code base, add your MCPs, and you're good to go. It's getting so easy. I think just do it. Bring this to your teams, give it a try. It's permissionless and easy to start. You can use any of the tools that are out there. It doesn't have to be Alloy. But I'm really excited to see how this workflow continues to improve. And I'm sure we'll be back next year with even more sort of crazy changes to the product management workflow. Thanks so much for having me.